I don't know what 2020's been like for you, but it's been one of those years that as a leader, I have found myself saying, I don't know, more than I've ever said it before in my life. You know why I've said I don't know? Because I don't know. And nobody knows. And we all have questions and we have doubts. And my job is to give you hope. And my job is to paint a picture of we're going to keep going, we're going to keep moving. And we have those times that wear on us. Psalm 23 arrives just in the right time. David writes this psalm. King David writes a psalm. Remember this is big. He writes it as a sheep, not a shepherd. You got to know that. So this psalm is written from the perspective of a sheep. It's written from the perspective of one that follows, not one that leads. Big difference. He's not writing it as, well, now that I'm a shepherd, I would do all these things. He's saying, I'm a sheep. So here's what we know about sheep. Remember this. Sheep have no ability to find their way by themselves. Can we all remember that? No way. So sheep don't just get up in the morning and go, well, I got to dress myself and I got to go out and take care of all my food. I got to take care of my places that I'm going to go. So remember, if we're driving down a little 2-lane road there, on the right side of the road, you could see a pasture and the meadows are green, the fence is mended, the sheep look healthy, the sheep look nourished. There's no bug bites on them. They look like they know what they're doing, and there's water. The sheep did not do that. The shepherd did. On the other side of the road, you have a fence that's torn down. You have sheep that don't look like they've eaten in a while. You have sheep that, in fact, they look very sickly because they've been bitten. You don't see any fresh water. It's not the sheep's fault. They didn't have a good shepherd. Remember, David started this passage, see if we can all remember. He said, the Lord is, what did he say next? Whose shepherd? My shepherd. He's a sheep. David paints the picture. I really didn't know where I was going in this life. I really didn't know what all this life held for me. But I know this, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not be in want. He says, surely goodness and unfailing love will, what's the next word? Help me out again, what does it say? Pursue. Well, when you think about pursuing, what do you think of? You think about a chase. Well, what's he talking about? A sheep couldn't make it on their own. Therefore, the shepherd, his job from the moment they became his sheep was to get them safely home. So if that sheep would wander away, that shepherd would pursue that sheep, not out of fear, not out of beating them, not out of being mad at them, but he went to take that sheep. He would pursue that sheep with goodness and grace and bring that sheep back. Surely goodness and love will follow me. What's the next word? All the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Ready? Thought number one about why we don't have to fear our future. Because God is watching over me. Under that, I want you to write a little thought down. Ready? I am never alone. From the minute you become his sheep, you're never alone. He's watching you. He doesn't take his eye off you. There's not a day where you wander off and he goes, oh my gosh, I forgot he was with me. That doesn't work like that. He is watching you. He is watching you because he loves you. Are there times it doesn't seem like God is good? Yes. How many of you have ever walked through a season where you felt like God wasn't good when you were walking through that season? Raise your hand if you ever felt through that. I've been there. But then you get on the other side of it and you go, oh my gosh, I see what he was doing. Because Romans 8:28's true. That he takes all things good and bad and works them together for the good. Why? Because he's a good God. See, here's the hardest part for me and you. Life seems like it's going to last forever, and it's not intended to last forever here on this earth. And our perspective of God is based on how this life turns out. That's all we have. That's all, and I got the same thing as you got. And sometimes when life's not going good, I'm like, okay, God, you must not like me. And God's like, Mike, you have no idea what I have planned for you. I don't care what your circumstances may tell you. I don't care what you may hear. You are never alone. He watches over you. And I would even write this a little addendum to the side or type it in, with care. With care. That's what a shepherd would do. He watched with care. Number two, because grace is working in me. Not only is God watching over me, grace is working in me. The minute you become that you come to know Christ, I want you to write a word down. Ready? Here's the words, process. You become a person in process. What's the process? The process is you are being shaped in the image of Christ. That's the process that we all enter in. The day, if you're 14 or 48, the day that you ask Christ in your heart, you begin the process of looking more like him. And sometimes God uses tough things, but his grace helps make you on the outside of it a little bit better and a little bit stronger. Point number 3, because heaven's waiting for me. I think it's a really interesting how David wraps this psalm that even somebody who doesn't go to church has heard of this. Even somebody that doesn't know about God, they're, hey, I've heard of the shepherd psalm. I've heard of Psalm 23. Listen to what he says. I will live in the house of the Lord forever. All right, everybody got me. Everybody look at me. Here's what he's saying. God's got me here, and God's got me there. David's going, I'm just a sheep. And I look back on my journey, I have no idea how I got here, other than a good shepherd. And that shepherd never took his eyes off me while I was here. And that shepherd has a place now for me there. I'm going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever.